Hi, this is Dr. Sarah Vinson, Ourselves Black founder and senior editor. I was on the Roland Martin show earlier today talking about opiate addiction and the questions that have been raised in the aftermath of Prince's death. In the 2 weeks since, there have been a lot of news stories and reports with a variety of sources, including attorneys who formerly represented his family members, an attorney for a doctor who had sent a representative out to see him, a man who claims to be his former drug dealer, and all of them are pointing to the possibility of opioid addiction or misuse as a contributor to his death. Autopsy results still haven't come out, and so we still certainly don't know anything definitive and aren't making any diagnoses. These stories do raise some questions, though, particularly the one about the emergency plane landing. So for those of you who don't know, about 6 days before his death, a flight had to make an emergency landing, and reportedly Narcan was administered during that emergency landing. To me, if true, that is a particularly telling piece of information because Narcan, which is the brand name for the drug naloxone, really only has one use, and that is to reverse the impact of opiate overdose. So on that day, at least, opiates seem to have been at play. The world, our country, our community is mourning the loss and recognizing the loss of someone who no one disputes was a musical genius. And it's a tragic thing. If opiates or drug addiction was a part of what contributed to his death, to me, that makes it even more tragic. The reason why is that addiction is treatable, especially opiate addiction, which has FDA-approved medications that have been shown to be effective in managing this condition, along with the psychosocial interventions that people need. And, you know, it's an undeniable truth that not everybody can access treatment when they want it. In the Black community, 1 out of 5 don't have insurance. And even when you have insurance, there may not be facilities in your area that give people what they need or what they want. In this case, though, Prince died with over $300 million to his name. He certainly could have afforded access and could have gotten the best treatment the world had to offer. And so, as a mental health professional, as somebody who knows that addiction is a treatable condition, and as somebody who also knows the stigma that mental health and substance use problems can carry, I wonder if it was stigma that killed Prince. I wonder if the dialogue around mental illness and substance use was different, if this man who could have accessed treatment whenever he wanted it, could have accessed it before it was too late, if that indeed was what led to his death. I grew up in the South, in a community where mental illness, substance use was often framed in moral terms, especially substance use. I saw people who mourned the death of loved ones, who cried about prison sentences, who were dealing with the aftermath of people not being able to fulfill their roles as father or brother or son in the way that they once were before drugs became a part of their life. So I saw the impact of substance use all around me, but it really wasn't until medical school, my first year in medical school, when I heard a lecture about the neurobiology of addiction, that I started to conceptualize it as a treatable medical condition. And I think things have gotten better in the 12 years since I sat in on that lecture class, but the lack of appreciation for the fact that there is hope and that there is treatment and that this can be addressed continues to negatively impact our communities. I hope for the day that substance use is not the issue that it is now. As I said, we still have to see what comes out as it relates to Prince. And really, that's for him and for his family to really know definitively. But even if the story ultimately is that opiates didn't contribute to his death, we know that in this country, in the year 2014, according to the CDC, over 28,000 Americans died because of opiate abuse. This is still a conversation worth having. And one day, we may not need to have it, but as long as we need to, as long as these issues of addiction and mental illness and stigma continue to negatively impact our community, Ourselves Black will be a place where we can have those conversations and where we will strive to push them forward.